Oh, What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dead Funny Podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris, joined here my co-host, Chris, Jesus. Well, either way, host, co-host, whatever. We're here. Kelsey and JoJo with me today. Boom. There we go. I'll get it.
Doing some kind of a job.
We're doing something. We're here for some reason. Oh, man. Anyways, so yeah, we were kind of talking about it a little bit before. Me and JoJo are both really, really hyped. We got not Final Fantasy, Jesus. I'm really hyped for that. Sorry. I was watching the Intergrade stuff, and they did a whole article on Yuffie right before I got on for this podcast. It's all I've been reading. So my head is in 1,000 different places right now. Anyways, Resident Evil 8, or also known as Village, because VILL, you know, all that fun stuff. Yeah. Also known as Resident Village. It's right around the corner. Did you play, because you have a PS5, right?
Yeah.
Did you play any of the demos yet?
Nah, I just figured I'll wait
for
the thing.
I played Maiden. I did not play Castle. Apparently Castle, you're actually Ethan, and there's actual combat, and there's apparently an actual scene in the game that is in the demo. So,
yes, I think so.
Yeah, so where Maiden, you weren't Ethan, and there was no combat, and it was, well, they say no combat, but you definitely get fucked up in that demo if you don't move away fast enough from one of the people in there, because they were beating the shit out of me, and I was like, wait, you said there's no combat, I can't fight back, this is bullshit. I was pretty pissed off. So, but it's basically an escape
Running
room.
isn't combat.
That's true, I guess. That's true. So, yeah, but it's basically an escape room is what the Maiden demo was, which was fun. I mean, it was... Maybe I've done too many that it was super obvious to me, but it was like super obvious where everything was that I needed to do to go into the next room. So I was just like, here. So, is what it is. But I had fun playing it. I had a lot of people, because I streamed that one, I had a lot of people jump in there that were huge Resident Evil fans, and they were just going off, and I was just like, yeah, this is cool. Like, I'm not as into Resident Evil as I am other games, but this is still cool. Like, you guys know a lot more than me, so you're all like, oh yeah, and about this. So then I was able to like test and be like, so why do you guys think Ethan is here? And they're all like, ba 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 ba. I was just all like, this is what it sounds like whenever other people were talking to me about Final Fantasy. Okay, cool, I get it. It's fine.
Yes. Now have that exact same conversation roughly once a day for the next 3 months, and then it's what it's like talking to you.
Yeah.
Which is not to throw you under a bus, but just to make sure that you're aware. An every now and then versus an every day is a different thing.
It was so much fun, though. So much fun. But yeah, so I'm super excited for the game. We talked about the fact that Capcom released information on the bosses. I do like how we kind of have that map, and it kind of seems like the bosses, you know, are set to their areas, which is pretty cool. I feel like that's kind of a standard for Resident Evil somewhat. I like that they're keeping up with the stalking trend. That's the big one for me. That brings horror games to a whole new level of nerves for me, is having the stalking aspect, and they didn't really have that in the older ones, and now that they went back and redone 2 and redone 3, they've added that stalker aspect in there, and I really, really enjoy that. And the fact
wasn't that huge? I thought original 3 that was all about that. You had Nemesis like following you around everywhere.
I mean, kind of, but not to the same extent that it is now. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, one, graphic wise, it's completely different.
Well,
2,
yes.
Apparently, like, Nemesis is like in the remake, it's just like, it's like anywhere you turn, Nemesis is right there. To where like in 7, I felt like you could get away from the dad, and sometimes you, or father or whatever they called him, sometimes in the game, and be able to do what you needed to do. But like, man, dude, watching the small little clips they showed of, I can't remember her name, but the main chick in 8, the big vampire lady who's like 8 feet tall.
Lady Dimres. I don't remember how it's pronounced.
I don't remember how it's pronounced.
Like Romanian.
But yeah, she looks terrifying coming through a door, because you see the door open, and then all you see is her gigantic hat that just stretches through the door, and then she stands up all elegantly and just follows you, and then fucking does the whole like Wolverine claws with her fucking fingers that stretch out like by fucking 5 feet, and then swipes at you if you're close enough. Like, holy shit, dude. Oh my god. That's gonna be nerve wracking the entire time that you're in the fucking mansion. Every time you're in the manor, because you know you're gonna go there multiple times. It's gonna just be nerve wracking. But what I like that they did, and I'm okay if they keep using it. My problem is that they keep doing it. It's gonna get old for some people. For me, I like this aspect. So for 7, you had the whole thing where you were trying to find Mia, and then you got knocked out by Daddy. He showed up, and then you woke up at the dinner table, and the whole family was there, and you got to see like this is who is basically trying to kill you the entire game. They did the same thing with this one, which was really cool. And so that's the footage they released is like you woke up, you're kind of bound, and you're looking around. The first thing you see is this demonic, possessed porcelain doll that's in a tattered up wedding dress. And she's got this crazy, psychotic voice. And that right there was enough for me to go, fuck yes, I'm in. I'm sold. Let's go. Because as I said on the last podcast, I was going through that whole horror movie franchise, which I did finish. Oh, yeah. And that was the first thing they related her to is this is a very Annabelle-ish type character. And I was like, oh yeah, dude. So like your character is like slowly waking up and she's just like, he's awake. And then doing this demonic little laugh and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh my god, dude. So seeing that she's one of the bosses. We've got like the leader of the werewolves is one of the bosses. The leader of the vampires, which is the chick we were just talking about, one of the bosses. And the cool part was her walking, the little porcelain doll, and going to whoever the puppet master is, that lady that's just shrouded in all black, just sitting in the chair. And she just jumps on her lap and just sits there. And she's just kicking her legs. And I mean, dude, oh god, she looks so amazing. I'm super fucking stoked.
I am excited to see how they explain it, where they make that science somehow. Because up until now, Resident Evil, it's always a virus or something, it's always a virus, and it's not just going to be a ghost. It can't be.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're hallucinating. I don't know.
Well, you did see where they came out and said everything fits into the world. They did say that. So I'm excited too. Yeah, I'm excited for that too, because they said it all fits. Nothing is new. It all fits into the Resident Evil universe. It all looks new, but it all fits in. So we're going to see how this whole lichen bullshit is going to fit in, how this vampire bullshit is going to fit in, because that's all new. We've never dealt with anything like that. It's always been a virus and zombies. Like, that has always been our shit. So it's going to be interesting.
Do you think you guys have more experience with this game than I do? Because I have none. Hey! But we need to do a semester on this. Yay! We'll get there. Do you think the fans would basically rebel, riot, be really upset if they did introduce something supernatural into the series?
Possible. Very possible. Because they've been with the virus for so long.
They can do this to the point where it's basically supernatural, and then they just throw in there's a throwaway line like, she had spore, she had a pheromone that made you think that doll was talking or something, it can basically do magic and then just say
it's somehow so related to the virus.
Yeah, it's something silly because the science they're using isn't science really anyway, It's not, viruses don't make you turn into strange monsters like that in the way that they do here. So.
Well, they do, just not like monsters that already exist within lore. As far as
not due to like shit. Centipedes, exactly. Like their spines go up, and then they're like a little Spanish pirate, and then their body just breaks in half, and they're like, That's not real life virus stuff.
No.
So, I think they can get away with mostly anything.
I have no context for your little, and then all of a sudden your spine goes up, and that just sounds real upsetting.
It was pretty gross. It's great.
I would like that.
Yeah, I think like at some point I just need to take like a screenshot of Mother from 7 whenever she's got like the whole hole in her stomach and everything too, whenever she's chasing you around and crawling on the ceiling and shit, and just send that to Kelsey. That's pretty much like the best way to sum up what JoJo was just talking about. Her arms go from being like a normal woman to about like fucking 8 feet long and shit, and she's just ripping through windows trying to pull you out of a house. And yeah, that game was fun.
It's very silly.
Me this.
It's all the same virus or something like Resident Evil 1. It's just there's a virus in this, and everyone's a zombie, except some of them are, for some whatever reason, also like way worse monsters. And also there's a spider. Somehow a spider got the virus, and that made that spider big. It didn't make it a zombie spider. It made it a giant spider. Why would that be? Science. You know, like it's.
I think Resident Evil was a game that was made for a zombie craze, and they did not expect it to get the attention it did. And so then they did a second one because they're like, hey, zombies are never going to be out of style, right? And then as things have went on, and then everybody else jumped onto that craze, like The Walking Dead and every fucking thing else at that point, World War Z. They had to start adapting at some point. So now this virus has been made this like chemical weapon that Wesker can use it whenever the fuck he wants to. And it's made all these different monsters and transforms people into weird shit. And now we have vampires and werewolves. So don't know how. Don't know how. This is our first time being here. So
also at the end of the 5th game, a guy who's ostensibly a normal human being has a fight in a volcano. Just inside of a volcano.
That's because his name is Chris Redfield, and he's a fucking
so
god.
Like they're playing fast and loose with any logic.
And he's in this game too, dude. We get to see Chris in this game as well.
Real stupid,
dude. It is. The fact that Chris and Ethan even have anything to do with each other is absolutely asinine. The fact that Ethan is even back for a second game is just fucking stupid to begin with. But I mean, fuck it. They thought that he still had value, so Ethan's back.
I think that he's just, because they're doing the first person games now, it's like, what if we made a character who is nothing? Because you're never going to see him. So he's just like a cipher. He's got no personality.
I wonder if they're trying to pull a Nintendo Link aspect on that one to kind of
to a degree,
like more immersed.
He definitely talks some, but like he's the most basic nothing guy.
That's fair. Yeah. Because like just so that way Kelsey kind of understands where we're coming from. Every person that's been in this game, like all your big heroes, Jill, Leon, everybody has always been like either a badass cop or Chris Redfield is like some special ops, badass tactical dude. And you always got like the 4th camera view or the 3rd camera view where you kind of see their back and their shoulder as they're moving through looking cool and all muscular. And Ethan is kind of like the dude you like pull out of the office randomly. Just this lanky guy that doesn't ever see the sun and wears glasses and has, literally the first game you're walking through with like the cheap Rolex and the button-up shirt that's rolled up to you, past the elbows, the tie that's coming down. Like that's Ethan. Like you never see his face, but that's Ethan. So it's just, it makes no sense. Like literally the 7 starts as like my girlfriend went missing on a trip. And then out of nowhere, you're in the swamps of like Louisiana at a fucking bayou, a house down by the bayou with fucking infected people who are somewhat turning into bugs. And the dad can't fucking die. And all this other shit's going on. And they're chopping off limbs of the kids and they're just growing them back. It's weird shit. But the game is so good.
Does he ever find the girlfriend?
Oh yeah. You find her right away, like right out the bat. Like you're following her, and the problem is like she keeps telling you, "Daddy's on his way," and that's when you're like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And well, then you end up finding out very quickly that she's also been infected with the virus, and you had to fight her and kill her, and you don't actually kill her because she is infected with this virus. Apparently, people with the virus just can't fucking die. So. That was probably my favorite scene out of 7 is when you're fighting the dad in the garage and you get in the car and you're just running him over in the fucking garage, and then he gets in the passenger seat and you got the gun and you point it to his head and he starts laughing. He's like, "You want to see something funny?" And he just puts the gun in his mouth and makes you pull the trigger and it blows his whole fucking head off. And then like you just get out of the car and you're just like, "What the fuck was that?" Yeah. Once again, you're Ethan. You're not Chris Redfield. You're Ethan. You're this average Joe Schmo right now. Oh. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on? And then you go into the house and you do these other couple missions because you're trying to get the fuck out. And all of a sudden you open the bathroom and the dad's in there and he's completely fucking healed. And he's just laughing. He's all like, "Surprise!" And he's just fucking running around the house. This fucking axe is trying to kill you and shit. Yeah,
that's also maybe the smart thing about Ethan as a character is if you put Leon in that situation, he's like, "Oh, this shit again." Like, okay, man, I I know what this is. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna fight you in 10 seconds from now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Ethan's like, oh, your hand, what? Like, he's always terrified of everything that's happening. Great.
They did something that was so predictable in that game, and I'm so mad that I just didn't pick up on it. But for the goddamn grandma who never does anything, and just you find her randomly around the house, just sitting there in her wheelchair, is the goddamn culprit the entire time. Like, fuck me, dude. For anything to ever be so in my fucking face and me not pick up on it, like, that shows you how terrified I was playing that game, that I was going to get grabbed by dad or mom, or the brother was going to do some weird shit, put me in another locked up room again. Every time I just saw the grandma, I was like, fucking grandma's in the way again. I wish I could just push her down the stairs. And I was just literally just running around the room. I did not give a fuck about her. And then, yeah, she was the culprit the entire time. Just watching you around the entire house. Yeah.
Elsie, you look horrified, but he was right.
Yeah, you definitely want to push her down.
She was a monster.
Yes, exactly. Oh, man.
God, yeah, that doesn't help without the context of the game. I'm under the impression there's just a nice old lady sitting in a chair, and Chris is just like, she's in my way and I want to push her downstairs. Like, okay, this is not great.
No. I mean, to even go a step further on how unrealistic this game is, you get a chainsaw at the very beginning of it and try to use it against your girlfriend. She uses it against you and cuts your arm completely off. So you lose from this up of your hand.
Ay.
You then wake up with basically your arm stapled back together, and you pour this liquid on it, and your arm is just magically working again.
Okay, what the shit?
Yep. No reasoning behind it. That's just...
No, they can't say science that many times and not have a reasoning behind it. Is he also infected with the virus and then can therefore like regrow shit?
No, it's called a health potion, Kelsey, and that's what it does. Herbs. You take herbs and you make them into a spray, and you spray them on and you heal.
That's how you get the idiots that actually go, well, I have XYZ disease. I'm just going to rub mint into my nostrils real hard and that will make it go away. This is how you get that. Do you want ants? This is how you get ants.
I will say what I really enjoyed about 7, though, was not only the DLC, but the brothers mission on how they actually put you in locked-in rooms and you actually had to solve and get your way out. That was really fucking cool. I enjoyed that.
You just love escape rooms as a concept.
I do. I've been to a lot of them. I still have one that I have to go do down in Chicago whenever, fucking COVID finally doesn't exist anymore. So, yeah, because Illinois is very strict on their traveling rules, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
So, like, I had my family come up here, and if they flew into Illinois, if they left the state at any point, they were not allowed to refly out of Illinois, or they would get served. I think it was like a $550 fine per person. So, yeah. So they came in through Illinois, we went to Wisconsin, and they left through Wisconsin. So made the travel very difficult, but hey, it is what it is. People got to do what they got to do. Can't blame them. But there's this escape room up here called DOA Escape Room, and they base their escape rooms off of H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
So they have one that is the hotel room, is what it's called. And then they have another one called the basement. And the only one that they have that I haven't done yet, because their other one they had there was more for kids, and it was just called the circus, so it wasn't actually H.H. Holmes related. But they have another one that's not H.H. Holmes related that's actually down in Chicago, and it's outside of Chicago, but it's down by Chicago. It's called Al Capone's Car Garage. And I want to go do that.
So, for those who may not be aware, H.H. Holmes was a serial killer in the Chicago area at the same time that the World's Fair was there, and he built a murder hotel, and he murdered a whole bunch of people, mostly, actually, I think exclusively women, except for a few guys. Nope, not exclusively women. There were a few guys that poked their nose around in the wrong ways, because he preferred killing women, but a few guys poked their nose around, and he was just like, you're going down,
it was
bud.
easier for him to kill women because he always did the married scheme, so that way he could collect on the life insurance, because that was the main motivator behind all of his killings was life insurance. He would take life insurance policies out on anybody before he killed them, and then kill them and then get the money. That was like his whole gig, and it was easier to do that if you're married to the person because hello, spouse. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And this was like the 1800s, so nobody freaks out if you go like, we got married and then they just disappeared, and like he would try to pick, and he would try to pick women that were, of course, vulnerable, so they didn't have wealthy families anywhere that would come looking for them or anything like that. So they were
people who were traveling and stuff like that. Yeah, he was a dick.
There are some real, like I believe his basement, he had a vat of acid, and that's how he got rid of the bulk of the bodies. And when they finally figured all of this out, and because he ended up dying I think he ended up being hung for his crimes. But they eventually like opened the door for the vat of acid, and there was where somebody had gotten acid on their hand and then put their hand up against the door, and there's a acid handprint in the door, which is one of those things that once you see in a book will stay with you for the rest of your freaking life, because it's just dark as hell.
Like,
so the idea of going to an escape room that is themed off of that with the hotel room in the basement is a little too close to reality for me. Like, that just sets off some of the squidgy vibes. I don't like it. It was
so much fun. It was so good because they actually, so like what their whole thing is like, because I've been to cheap hotel rooms. Well, I've been to those too. I've been to cheap escape rooms where it's like clearly a rundown house at some point that they've reformatted into an escape room, and the rooms look terrible, and they don't even like, they actually, like, the hotel room is, money was put in to physically like alter this room to look like what a hotel room would have looked like back in that time. They have like even items and shit that looked like what they would have looked like back in that time. Like, they actually go into that. So they try to they really pulled out all the stops, and I really appreciated that. So to put all that time and effort into it, it was like, it was definitely well worth the money to go there. Because they're definitely more expensive. I think like normal hotel or normal escape rooms around, you're gonna spend like $30, maybe $40. I think there's like $60 to get in for their room. And it was good enough to make me actually interested in H.H. Holmes, and I actually then picked up a couple books on him and did a lot of reading myself, because I got really into the whole kind of how he did his spill. Like, there really wasn't too many people that did it the way he did it. And I mean, I think one of the most fascinating things to me was how he built the hotel, where it was a contractor would build like maybe 50% of the room, and then he would fire them. Not one person ever saw one room built to 100% completion in the entire hotel. So that way he could then make his own rooms through those rooms to be able to move throughout the hotel room to get to where he needed to go within a moment's notice if he was killing somebody, and get them out and get them down to the basement without being seen.
Yeah, there were secret passages all over. There's a theory about him being the Jack the Ripper, right?
Yep.
Because there was a period of time where he got like the law was after him, and so he went to go visit family in London at the same time, and they don't know why the Ripper murders stopped, but that's the same time that he left London. And there's some theory that he is actually Jack the Ripper, since they still don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think they actually call his hotel, it was like Hell's Fortress or something like that, because the way he built it looked like the front of it looked almost kind of like a castle, with just kind of like how it was, I had the rounded edges on the outside, and they were
the Murder Castle.
Or Murder Castle, there you go. Yep, Murder Castle. Yep. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, dude's very fucked up. I'm glad he got caught. I'm glad he got fucking hung for his shit. But yeah, it's like, just to literally read from start to finish. And it's like one of those things where you look at the rest of his family, and it's definitely one of those things where it's like, you never would have known. Like, his brother went to college, became like a medical professor and shit. Like, his sisters and shit, everybody lived completely normal lives. And then he just went to college, apparently like flunked out, then went somewhere, or no, he left college because he felt like the curriculum wasn't good enough for him or some shit. Then went to another college, and then that's whenever it started at that college. It just all started there. It was like his college roommate was his first ever victim, with some guy where he got the life insurance money, and then left. Done. Gone.
Well, there's a theory that he was killing people long before that.
Right, that's the first documented.
That's the first time that he was just like, wait a minute, I can do this and make money. And that was when it turned from a potential hobby into a way of life.
Yeah, I guess it takes a lot of money to build a hotel.
Yeah.
For murdering.
Well, he ended up, and this is the part where it, to me, blows my fucking mind. He ended up, before he built the hotel, he ended up working for this drugstore that was across the street. Killed the people who owned the drugstore, and then he ran the drugstore. So it was just like a, yep, this is mine now type deal. And then used the drugstore's money to fund the hotel across the street, along with obviously all the life, checks that he was cashing. Yeah, right across the street, and then built the hotel. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nutty. If you're looking for a good book to learn more about this guy, Devil in the White City is wonderful because it talks about it talks about the World's Fair going on in Chicago and everything that made that happen, and it tells the story of everything that made him happen. And so since he was active at the same time that fair was going on, you get this great grand pomp and circumstance and all these important people trying to do these great grand pomp and circumstance things, and then you get this one insidious lowlife benefiting off of the crush of people that are coming in a really dark way. It's a good book, and it reads very well and very fast.
That book was actually an inspiration for the very first introductory D&D chapter that I had for my campaign, because Kelsey never got a chance to play it, but Breezy, who was on the channel, she did, and she fucking loved it. It was awesome, where I basically had all of the characters on how they got a chance to meet each other. They all got random tickets to come to this fair, and this fair was very notorious for setting up in more places that didn't have, like castle guards and stuff like that, and they would show up, but there was always a mystery. There was always a mystery that some bodies would wind up either one found or two just missing completely, and it was called like the Festival of Lights or something like that. I can't remember what the name of the festival was, but they would show up, and it was like the entire chapter. There was no combat. The entire chapter. It was all about introducing, because a lot of these players were new to D&D, on how to use skill checks and stuff. So it was solving what the hell was going on, trying to get to the bottom of it, just using skill checks throughout the entire time, and having the free will to kind of go around and do whatever you want to do. Because there were people that were like, I'm going to go eat breakfast at the hotel that we were in, while other people over here like, I want to solve this murder and figure out what's going on. Like, and just being able to let people like really develop and get into character. And yeah, it turned out really well. Like, I had literally pictures of every person from the carnival. They all had their own spit and everything else, and like I would jump into all these characters and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So it was in my opinion. In my opinion, it was a way, because I mean I'm a real, obviously I'm talkative, but I'm a real, it's hard for me to embarrass myself. So it was a way for me to jump into these carnival characters and really go over the top in front of these people who have never played D&D, to kind of help break down that barrier of like, I can roleplay here, like for them to feel comfortable to get into their characters. It's like, well, Chris is making himself look like an ass, so if I even just do half of that, I'm not going to look anywhere near as ridiculous as he is. Because I had one lady, I think her name was Lala, and she was a fortune teller, and she actually had an eyeball that was like this big in the middle of her head. So whenever I was doing her character and like reading fortunes, I would do like this and get all up in their face and stuff like that. And yeah, like, I mean, I went all out, and yeah, it paid off. Everybody was able to just get into character, just, all right, cool, this is awesome, this is where we're at. So yeah, and it was actually, because I read that book, I was like, wow, I like the aspect of the whole murder mystery with the fairgrounds, and I just kind of changed it to where the fairgrounds just moved a lot, and everywhere it went, something would happen. But they just chalked it up to a bunch of people. Some people maybe got into fights, and then fights broke out. Some people died and no one saw, and then they just went on. And it wasn't the carnival's fault. It was more of maybe the civilians that were there just got pissed off about games or something like that. So they just never got pulled down. So it was the hero's job to put a stop to this devil carnival all around. Because there was, I think like the whole thing was, there was a mask, and the mask itself would allow you to look like someone else for a short amount of time. And it was like passed down through this one family, and that was that one person's act, was that they would put this mask on, and they would change into like a lost one for, like an audience member, like a loved one that they had lost or something like that, and do like, cool acts and stuff with the mask and change into monsters or something. And that automatically threw up red flags for everybody. And they're like, that's the person that's killing everybody. And it's like, but is it? And there were a lot of little things that they had to like go through and check and find out in order to actually find out who was doing it. So yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, and it turned out it was the Ticketmaster, because he was like this real, or no, it wasn't Ticketmaster. It was the dude that would usher people to their seats, because he was like really like kind of like the hunchback guy, and he had like a whole bunch of boils and stuff all over his body. And what it was is that there was a demon inside of him that was controlling him, and that was the evil trying to get out. And it was like really fucking with his body. And the only way they found out was somebody got the mask, because I let them, like, basically the way that things turned out, the sheriff was 100% like, I'm going to let you guys call this. So they got 3 chances, and if you chose someone, they got executed. So there was consequences. There was 100% consequences for their actions, and they only got 3 chances. And it's like, if you didn't get it, then this carnival is going to go on. And I think I said, if you don't do it, these are the last 3 souls needed that this demon will forever be able to plague, and it could cause further issues for you into the campaign. And they got it literally on the last call. Yeah. And like I said, the only reason I found out is because someone used a skill check to really inspect the mask, and in they saw that the mask was made out of wood, and there was actually a crack in the wood, and they actually saw some kind of like something in there, and they actually going through, and it looked like actually like pus and stuff, and they're like, oh my god, the dude with the boils, this must be him. And so then they called him, and sure enough, that was him. Well, I got it, but I didn't give hints. They had to solve it themselves. I just kept saying, just use your skill checks. Like, this is a chance for you to learn. That's the whole point in this. Even if you lose, it's not that big a deal. It's just for you to learn how skill checks work and get into it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We had a good time. So, but yeah, that's where that came from, was me reading that book. And I was like, I think I can use this for an idea for a D&D chapter. So,
you know, I'm glad you did it that way rather than being like, I think I feel like killing people.
I didn't kill anybody. They killed people. I do have a character. I like to have a character every time I do a D&D campaign, because I did D&D campaigns where I didn't have a character, and I had certain issues where it would be like the people always thought the DM was against them. So I like to have my own character, and it's more of a healer type, but it's funny because I think I told Kelsey this before, but because I like to do so many like puzzles and riddles and stuff like that, people always like to do like, oh, well, what does Blade think about this? So I always give him like a 0 for intelligence. So and I had one where like he believed in the god Torm. So all he would do was just quote movie quotes, but they would be wrong. And it would always be for Torm. And it would be like, well, Torm says that the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many. And they'd be like, that has nothing to do with what we asked you. And I'd be like, they'd be like, okay, he's fucking useless. Let's go on. Because they would do that all the time. So, yeah. But yeah, it was super fun.
One of the games that I played, I absolutely loved, because the DM came up with this wonderful character, Meepo, who had just this incredibly ridiculous voice and was a ridiculous character and required him to flounce around a lot. And he intended for this character to be a throwaway, like, this will exist in one mission kind of thing, and then he's gone. And man, all of us just fell in love with Meepo to the point where we're like, we will die to protect Meepo. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? And so like Meepo lasted for months, and every time he had to do it, he's like, guys, this is so hard on my voice. We're like, but what does Meepo think? And it didn't matter. Like, we just wanted to hear him do the voice, and we loved the character. Finally, he forced the character to die off. And man, we did everything we could to try to save Meepo. And he's like, I'm not sure I'm being clear. Meepo's going. Meepo's gone. Meepo is gone. And every now and then, like, we would get sad. We were really sad when he finally forced the death of Meepo. But like later in the campaign, we were visited by a ghost, and Meepo came back for just like a few hours, and we're just like, it's back! We're gonna live in this house. And he's like, you're fucking not living in this house. You get 20 minutes of Meepo, and then it will stop.
Yeah, that's the old curse of the GM that I was reading on the leaderboards, or not leaderboards, but message boards, where a lot of people talk about, like, as a GM, you don't want to make too much of a quirky character, because your party will always love them and want them to be around. The same thing happened to me. It was Mr. Jangles is what I called him. And what he was is that he was a skeleton, and there was only one person that could see him. And it's because he got cursed as he walked through the door. So Mr. Jangles talked to him. But the thing was, and it was Antoine, he's actually been on the channel. We did a one-on-one podcast together. His character was technically insane at that point. So he would say something, and then he would be talking to the skeleton, and the skeleton would talk back to him. But the funny part was, for the rest of the party, so that way they could hear what Jangles was saying, Antoine was saying what Mr. Jangles was saying as if he was just talking to himself. So it'd be something like, hey, hand me that over there, Jangles. Yeah, sure, I'll hand this to you. Like that type deal. So he had to do Jangles back and forth, but I was doing Jangles' voice. So Antoine, going along with it, he would just like do mouth movements as I was talking as Jangles, so that way it looked like it was coming out. And so he was supposed to lose this curse when they left, but he had to roll for it. And I made it like stupid low. I can't remember what the number was, but it was stupid low. And he didn't hit it. But I saw how excited everybody got that Jangles wasn't leaving. And I was like, fucking A, he's going to become a character. Because I gave him like this whole persona of like, he was the skeleton. He had like a top hat and everything. He was a dapper man, but he always liked to talk shit. So like, for instance, they got in this fight and he was like, quick, throw me at him. And he like threw him. He's like, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen? I'm a skeleton, dumbass. So like he had to like hold him, like tie him to his back and carry Jangles around everywhere and stuff like this. And it was, Jangles became a thing.
That is way too lovable a character. Yeah. I love that character, and I haven't even played with him. That's fantastic.
Yep, I was like, fuck, dude, Jangles is gonna be a thing. So yep, Jangles wrote out the campaign with him. So I was like, fuck it, I'll let him have it. It's Jangles, whatever. So yeah. It was funny.
I did feel bad because there was a character that same GM created that was named Crescendo and was amazing in every possible way, but he did something that my character couldn't handle. He screwed with her mind, and she doesn't like anybody bewitching her, making her see something that isn't there or anything like that. So she's this super fierce warrior creature. Like she's a half giant that just like has this gigantic like 8-foot long sword and just like swings at people. She's a tank. I love her. She's my favorite. She's who I want to be. So there. And he screwed with her mind to stop her from seeing something. And so when she finally got her senses back, he was trying to flee. And I think I rolled an 18, a 19, and then 2 20s in a row. Like, and I have a group of people that can all confirm this because they were watching it. But I was like, she's trying to kill him. And he's like, there's no way she gets to kill him. And I'm like, she is going to chase him as far as she can. And he turned invisible at some point. And I had one throw. And he's like, sure, throw your axe at him. Go ahead. Because I wanted to anyway. And he was like, you have to get it. You have to get a 20. I will not accept anything less than 20. Baby. I got a nat 20 on that one. And I hit an invisible character with a throwing axe. Dude. And he's like, all right, do you need to confirm it? And I got another 20. And he's like, fuck, by the rules, Crescendo. He's like, I spent so much time. This character is going to do so many things. I'm like, I'm sorry. He's dead. He was very killable. I liked him too. She didn't.
That's great. Yeah, I've had I hate it whenever nat 20s come into play and they actually work out. Whenever I was running a campaign for the Dark Star guys, because we were somewhat experimenting with possibly doing it for the channel, but we just wanted to do a campaign to see how it went. Tony, being the asshole that he is, decided he was going to move forward into this fortress. It was just a 1-tower fortress because there was supposed to be all this gold in there while Joey and them were trying to figure something out that was over in these bushes, making sure they weren't going to get jumped. So Tony's just going to fuck off and go get all the treasure by himself. What he didn't know is that there were like 8 people in there waiting. So he gets in there and gets basically downed instantly. For some reason, the gang still wanted to save Tony. And I said, well, none of you can cast a healing spell because Tony's your fucking wizard. So this is what I'll let you do. If you can hit a nat 20, I will let you throw a potion at him. And if it's a nat 20, it will break and it will bring him back up just a little bit. Won't full heal him, but enough for him to be able to get up and move around. Fucking Joey rolled a nat 20. I was like, motherfucker. And launched a fucking potion and hit him with it. I was like, son of a bitch, dude. I totally planned for Tony to die right there and he didn't die. I was like, God damn it.
But that's fantastic. Yeah. Like, the whole group must have just been like,
yeah.
Like,
and this is the same group that literally the next play that we did was we went to a town and they got in an argument because somebody wanted to try to argue with a blacksmith to get a weapon for cheaper, and the other person wasn't happy that they were getting it for cheaper, so then told the blacksmith how much money they actually had because they did, perception check and rolls and all that fun stuff, and they all got into an argument with each other, and then everybody decided they didn't want to play anymore. So the very next game. Yeah. And then that campaign ended.
Very annoying.
And that's why there's no D&D on Darkstar. Because we can't get along. So
They're a bunch of grown-ass men that like to get in each other's way.
That's all it was. The whole thing was just to be a dick. Yep. And so then, when one was on the table, everybody else had to show up and do it too. So then everybody else was just being an asshole. No one was trying to be the voice of reason besides the GM. And yeah, things just got out of hand.
That's not salvageable at that point.
No, I just let it go. I was like, I'm just going to let this play out. Yep. So... Now, what's funny is the other one that I had, which was the 10-person one that Breezy was a part of. What I liked about having her there for was that she was that voice of reason. So I had one person who was extremely aggressive. So like when they're trying to figure out this murder, I told them that they could go talk to all the different carnival acts. This person took it as they could go interrogate all the carnival acts. So they're trying to break down the door with like a dagger already out. Like, tell me what you know. To where Breezy's like, let's just have a conversation and try to get information that way. What I love about her though, she's the perfect player to have in a campaign, because it was like we're getting ready for the campaign. I was like, all right. Basically, all I need to know is like your character's names. If you want a little backstory, that's cool too, and then a picture of your character. She sent me like a fucking novel. Like, it told me from the moment her character was born, who her mom and dad were, how her character became this, what her dad does for a living, and this is why she's planning on doing. Like, she went all out, and I was like, these are the kind of fucking players I like right here, because she's going to make a great story. So, yeah.
She is the best.
Awesome. No.
Nobody compares. She is my favorite.
And plus, me and her were the only people who didn't want to jump on the elf craze. Once again, 10-person campaign. I'm pretty sure 6 of them were elves. Didn't jump on the elf craze. Yet we were the only tieflings in the party. So she was a female tiefling sorceress, and I was a male tiefling paladin. So, yeah. Yeah.
I want to be giants and dwarves.
Giants and dwarves?
Giants and dwarves, man. I want to be big, I want to be strong, and I want to be kind of crotchety. Like, let's go.
We had a dwarf who was a drunk. His name was Thunderbeard. Yeah, and he was a drunk.
I so want to play Thunderbeard. Can I play Thunderbeard? That sounds amazing.
Well, there would be times that we would find him completely drunk and naked, so that was his thing. So, yeah, and we'd be like, oh, it's Thunderbeard again. Yeah, good old Thunderbeard. We would drag him by his beard. Like, whenever he was drunk, we would just drag him by his beard back to his bed. God, so there was Thunderbeard. And then we also had a gnome who liked to do stand-up comedy but was terrible at it. So she just had horrible puns the entire time. So she was great.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then we had a character whose thing was a human monk, and basically his entire character was built on Uncle Iroh. So that was perfect. So
I love that.
Even better part, knowing that his character was Uncle Iroh, that's the one that went insane and had Bojangles strapped to him. So...
That's adorable. I love that, actually. That works for me.
Who's perfect. Uncle Iroh?
From Avatar.
The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah.
Not within my range of knowledge.
Yeah.
I believe it's on Netflix right now. If
have you not watched it?
Pick that up, it's worth your time.
No, I never watched it. No.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's like one of the top fucking animes, like, ever. Like, it is, like, hugely loved by everybody.
Oh,
JoJo, genuinely, you should watch it. It's on Netflix. It's popular for a reason, and it's not shitty. Like, it's genuinely very good and worth your time, and actually stands up pretty well.
Because it's an older anime, and I mean, it's appropriate for like all ages. That's the best part about it. Like, it could easily be seen as like one of those cartoon animes for kids, but it's like very appropriate for adults. Like, it's super good.
What if I just watch the movie?
No. That there's only
you
two
knew what
times.
You were getting into.
There's only 2 times in my life where this has worked out, and it was Avatar: Last Airbender and Death Note, where I did not watch the animes and I saw the movies, and it made me want to see what the anime was actually about. Both movies are fucking terrible. Both movies are absolutely god fucking awful, but the animes are amazing. Death Note was the first time, or no, Avatar: Airbender was the first time, because Bree and Tony were so huge into Avatar: Last Airbender, they wanted to go see it, and I was like, well, I guess I'm just going along for the ride. Never seen the anime, let's watch this. And I watched the movie, and I was like, this movie's fucking terrible. And Tony was just like, yes, no, as someone who loves this anime, this movie is fucking terrible. And so then we left, and then I watched the anime, and I was like, wow, dude, the anime is fucking amazing and tough as a beast. But then Death Note, I watched Death Note because Willem Dafoe was in it, and I'm like, fucking Willem Dafoe, like, come on, like, it's got to be a good movie, right? No, that movie was fucking terrible. And then I went back and watched the anime.
You said that, but also you don't like those Spider-Man movies he's in?
Dude, there's no saving Tobey Maguire, dude. He did a terrible Spider-Man. He was a terrible Peter Parker, terrible Spider-Man. Venom was god-awful. That whole series should be
we got there are other issues. Don't get me wrong.
The whole series should be forgotten. Worst Mary Jane ever.
How do those two movies compare to the Dragon Ball movie?
I never watched it. I physically never watched it. I refuse to watch that fucking movie, JoJo. I cannot tell you. I was literally telling this to my girlfriend the other day, and you could just see the little kid in me because I listened to the second opening to Dragon Ball Z, the one where it's like dragon, rock the dragon. I was like, I need to run home every day after school to make sure I was there so I could sing along with that song before the episode started every day as a little kid, and I would sit right in front of the TV and be like, dragon, rock the dragon, like every day. Dude, every day. I will not watch that piece of shit film. It's terrible. It's fucking terrible.
It's very bad. You should not watch it.
God. No, it will never happen. Never happen. And I hope to God they never try to do another real anime or real live Dragon Ball Z again. I don't think real live movies can be made off of anime. I think if they want to do movies, they need to do something like Advent Children for Final Fantasy, where it's all CGI and it's still like animated CGI and actually looks like it belongs. Real life movies, never. Like, I think we've actually talked about this on a podcast once where somebody was like, what if they made a real life movie of Final Fantasy 7? I will not watch it. I physically will not watch it because I can guarantee you it will be fucking bad. It will be terrible.
So you're a no on that Cowboy Bebop show they're doing?
I am a no on the Cowboy Bebop show that you're doing. I love that anime. That was another one I watched growing up. Spike is a badass. That show is so good.
I still haven't watched Cowboy Bebop, so I'm so confused.
I think you would like
it. Sounds really dumb.
With your love of Mass Effect, with how like the space exploration and kind of like just how, from what I believe, I think that game is about. Once again, I have nowhere near as much knowledge as you do on the game, but I think you would enjoy that anime. I think you would like Cowboy Bebop a lot. So,
or you like a Firefly, I assume.
Yeah,
I love Firefly. Scott and I are rewatching it right now, actually.
Yeah,
it's a little more along those lines in the sense it's like, spacefaring, mercenary, rogue type folk, a ragtag band.
Aw, I love a ragtag band.
And they even have a puppy.
They've got a puppy.
A little corgi.
Okay, this is getting into real dangerous territory for me.
And on top of that, it doesn't go with the normal anime trope of the female always has to be rescued. She's her own badass independent mercenary. So there's that too.
Oh, you just said the words I needed to hear. That's fantastic. Good. In case you can't tell, I dislike when women are portrayed as helpless.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
No, I agree with that. That's fair. It's been overdone so many times. So many times. Hey, I'm right behind you on that one. Fucking favorite video game character, Cloud, but Tifa, she's such a badass.
She's so goddamn cool. Oh my god.
She needs no one's help. There are times where she could possibly go toe to toe with Cloud for a little bit. He does have Genova cells. She doesn't have that, so unfortunately, that is a.
Yeah, but she's that talented without him. Like, damn.
She is. I mean, hey, I say it's canon. If you use your final limit breaker on the Black Dragon, which is the biggest enemy in the game, she lifts him completely up in the air and throws him down. So, just saying, it's canon to me. It's canon to me. I do like how Mike was doing a playthrough of 7, and I was sitting there laughing at him because he was streaming, and I was like, let me show you how a real playthrough of 7 looks like. And I got on my master account, and I went in to fight Safer Sephiroth, and I forgot to look at the materia I had. And on materia, for Tifa's materia, I had All Cut, which hits everybody, but Sephiroth had cast Confuse on me. So she ground pounded to hit herself, and it hit Red 13 and Cloud as well, and she killed the entire team, and then I lost to Sephiroth within the first, 2 minutes of the fight. Mike's like, yeah, man, learned a lot from this one.
Damn!
First thing is, check my materia before every fight.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Sephiroth didn't even kill me. Tifa did. She was just like, fuck it, we're all out. And then knocked everybody out. One hit, killed my entire team. Everybody was maxed, 9999 health. Yep, everybody was maxed, killed everybody. Yep, I was like, well.
That's amazing. I love it.
That's Tifa's power for you. She doesn't give a shit.
She decides you're done, you're done.
Yep. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up this podcast. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, turn on the notification. That way you get notified next time we upload another video. Hit us in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. Are you pumped for Resident Evil? If you are, throw that in the comment section below. Me and JoJo will talk to you about some Resident Evil. I know that me and him are planning on doing some kind of show. I'm not going to talk about it right now because it's a tad bit of a spoiler. And plus, it's still in the making. But we're going to do some kind of show on Resident Evil. And super pumped for that, super excited for that. So hopefully that all goes off well. But we have the Twitters and the Twitches down there below. I know for a fact I will be streaming my entire first playthrough of Resident Evil 8 every single time I go to boot it up. So if you get bored and you want to come watch that, that's where I'll be that weekend, actually. I know I'm buying it Friday morning, and then I'll be playing it throughout the entire weekend. I already told all my TFT buddies, I'm like, taking a break from League. I'm taking a break from TFT. That weekend, I literally said, this weekend, I have to find some time to stream Final Fantasy 2 and finish it because I'm right at the end, so I can wrap that game up and be done with it before I move into Resident Evil. Because I actually had 4 people that like messaged me, were like, are you going to finish Final Fantasy 2 at any point? Because I was kind of watching you go through it, and I really want to see how it ends. And I was like... My daughter had surgery, and then that got put on the back burner, and I haven't made it back, and we all started playing TFT, and then, yeah, I haven't streamed in a minute, so I need to do that again. But, so yeah, Resident Evil 8, I will definitely be knocking that entire first playthrough. I will not be playing that offline at all, so that way you guys, if I get scared, you are going to see it happen in person. Like, it is going to fucking happen. You will see me freak the fuck out, and there was definitely a spot. There were 2 spots in the first game that I played, the demo. One was the actual game did scare me because I heard a loud bang and it caught me off guard. The second one, someone followed me and my notifications were turned all the way up and I didn't notice that. So I'm literally sitting there playing. All of a sudden I hear Cosmo Canyon's theme just da-na-na-na-na-na. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, thank you for the follow. You just scared the shit out of me.
Excellent job.
Because I was like going around this corner and I'm like, I know I saw somebody walk past here. Am I okay? There's no combat, but I don't know if I'm going to die. And I was like, bam. And I was like, oh my God, scared the shit out of me. So, and that person actually follows the channel at this point now. So thank you. We appreciate that too.
Thank you for scaring Chris. We appreciate it. It's good for all of us.
Other than that, we also have a merch link down below if you want to support us that way. That's another way to support us. We appreciate that too. But you know all this. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.